I turn on the TV and I see attack ad after attack ad, and it seems like all the candidates, all they're trying to do is make the other candidate look worse. So it's like, pick me because I'm not as bad as him. That makes me not want to pick either one of them. I just want to hear what you believe in and what you stand for, and that's what's going to make me vote for you, not how bad the other guy is.
That is, how many people feel that way? That the attack ads don't do anything except make you not want to vote for either of them. You feel that way? Yeah? Charisse, we were talking in the break, and I want to bring up our three guests. We have from Minnesota, Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann, Utah Congressman Jason Chavez, and from South Carolina, Senator Jim Demint. Okay, so Charisse just asked, and I'm going to just go down the line. I'm going to start with you, Senator. You'll be the first. Charisse, go ahead.
I guess as a young voter, the reason I feel a lot of people aren't excited about voting and heading out for these midterm elections is because we don't know what the politicians want. We can't get an accountable statement or definitive idea. So what do politicians want out of their role in society?
What Jim, specifically, if you tell us you gotta nail them. You guys are politicians. You guys know how the game is played. So you know the BS when you hear it. So what specifically do we look for? What do you need the most?
Well, Glenn, I've been looking, as you know, for the last year, and through the Senate Conservatives Fund, we've picked a number of Senate candidates, and we've asked them to agree to a basic checklist, and that includes no earmarks, balancing the budget, repealing Obamacare, term limits, a few other things that are listed on the site, and they had to agree to these basic ideas before we got behind them. Many of them were underdogs, but Americans really came behind them in force. I think we've got the best slate of Republican candidates in the House and the Senate that we've had in years.
What is the name of that
website? Will give them a good look.
What is the name of the website?
SenateConservatives.com.
Okay.
And Glenn, thousands of Americans have given over $5 million through that site, an average of $45 apiece, to candidates that they believe in. And I think these candidates, as well as the ones Michelle and Jason are supporting in the House, are going to hold true to what they promised, because they've seen what's happened to Republicans in '94 and since then, who campaigned on one thing and then came up to Congress and then got co-opted, as you said. I mean, being co-opted is a part of the plan in Washington.
Okay, so Michelle, I'm going to go to you and what you need in the House here in a second. But Jason, I want to go right here to the co-opting. You're a freshman. You saw the co-opting firsthand. Actually, you're not a freshman anymore, right? You saw the co-opting firsthand. You see now it starts from day one. Can you tell us a little bit about how the Republicans or Democrats approach a new freshman and say, "We're your buddy"?
Hey, come on, come play this game. You know, one of the hardest things that you have is when all your mayors and all your county commissioners and all the people that want this pork to actually end up in their city, that's where you need to really stand up tall. Because there's 5 people in our delegation here from Utah, and I was the first one to say, I'm sorry, I'm not asking for an earmark until there's openness, transparency, and reform. And with all due respect, Mayor, I know you want another parking lot, but you're asking the wrong guy. I didn't come here to bring home the pork. The people are with you on those issues, but boy, to stand up to your mayors and your county commissioner, that's.
But tell me about when you first get to Washington. The first thing somebody's going to do is put their arm around you and say, "Buddy, I know you've got some big dreams, and I'm here to help you with that. What committee can I help you with?" Is that the person to avoid like the plague?
Well, you got to really worry about those people, because they want to buy you free mail. They want to come, hey, do this, and we're going to make life comfortable for you. I had one member of Congress actually offer to send me a limo to pick me up, and I said, no, I'll take the metro or take a taxi. Don't worry about that. So you got to make sure when you very first go in there, you set a reputation real quick that you're not going to get played that way. You're not going to take anything. Somebody buys me a Diet Coke, I feel like I got to buy them a Diet Coke. So you got to make sure never do that from day one, and then it doesn't seem to be a problem.
All right, Michelle Bachmann, you're in the House. What do you need? What do you need? What person?
Well, First of all, we need to do exactly what Jim Demint is doing. I set up Michelle Pack to try and bring people in the House who will be constitutional conservatives, just like Jim is trying to do in the Senate. But I'm being proactive about all these great new people that I believe will come in, Glenn. So I've already laid the foundation to start classes as soon as we go back, so that we have classes on the Constitution taught to us by constitutional experts every week. I'm hoping the hour before we go in to cast our first votes, we'll have a class. We'll invite in existing members, we'll invite new members, and we'll teach them the foundation of the Declaration, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, so that they know who they are and they know what they stand for, so they can come against the pressure, because it's the Constitution, their belief in the greatness of this country that got them to D.C. That's what will keep them there, because that's what the people want.
Okay. How sad is it that we actually have people going to Washington and they have to have a class on the Constitution and Declaration of Independence? That's amazing. All right. God bless you guys. Hang on. We'll come back here in just a second. We'll spend some time with our audience as well. Back in a minute.
Mr. President, if restoring honor to America, defending our Constitution, and turning to God has become a radical idea, well, I guess we're in more trouble than we thought. On November 2nd, vote Democrat, Republican, or Independent, but most importantly, vote for America.
Yes, I am.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe.
Okay.
Only for a couple of candidates.
To be honest, no.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Yes.
Tonight we're spending some time in the next few nights. We're talking about what needs to happen in Washington and what the choices are that you're facing now. I find it hard to believe that people could be threatened with their life and they would go out in Baghdad. 98% of them stuck their finger in purple ink to show that they voted. Here we are, a republic is at stake, and what will the turnout be next week? Part of it is because people are frustrated and confused, and we'll get into that just a little bit here with our studio audience. I want to go to Samuel and then to Ken, because we were talking during the break about being confused, not knowing exactly what to do. Go ahead, Samuel.
What if they're sort of two different candidates that we don't necessarily agree with or have views that we don't hold? How do we participate in that type of government or in that type of election?
Because you don't want to go for a third party, or
there is no third-party candidate on the ballot.
Okay.
Or should we just simply abstain from government in that case?
Okay. Now, Ken?
My question is a situation where the ultimate goal is to vote out the liberal Democrat representative, but our choices are either a Republican who's a total rhino or a completely unknown independent who has sought the Tea Party endorsement. And I've heard kind of conflicting ideas today. Jason's idea is, suggestion that you should really vote for the person of character, which in my case would be the independent. But Matt is suggesting, you don't really want to split it three ways, and maybe I should be voting. At least I'm interpreting that as meaning I may should vote for the rhino.
Okay. So let's kind of open this up to you guys in Congress. I will tell you that I'm done wasting my vote. I'm tired of people telling me I'm wasting my vote by not voting for somebody who I really believe in because they don't have a chance. Well, then you're going to have the liberal. Well, I've got the Republicans in anyway. And they stunk on ice for a very long time. So didn't I waste all of those votes for a long time? I'm going to vote for the person of character, so I guess I would go with you, Jason, but I'd like to hear from Michelle and Senator and Jason what your advice is before we go to Matt.
Well, that's why I would say that it's so important to go to a candidate's Facebook site, find out who these people are, find out what it is they value, and then remember The leader of that party.
But wait, he's saying, Ken is saying, which is a different question than Samuel. Samuel's saying, I can't find anybody. But Ken is saying, my choice is, I got an independent who I know. He's an unknown. I think he's on my side, best I can tell. The GOP guy is a total rhino. And then we know the progressive is in the Democratic Party. So which one do I choose?
Well, remember, when you cast your vote for that individual member, the first and most important vote that that member will cast is for the Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the House sets the entire agenda for Congress. No bill can come to the floor. No bill can be heard in a committee unless the Speaker approves. I think one thing America has seen is how radically Speaker Pelosi is governed. And that very first vote is the most important vote. And just recognize, will we have a Speaker Pelosi or will we have a different speaker? That's a very crucial question when people go in the voting booth.
Ken, are you kind of frustrated by that? Yeah, I am too. Michelle, I love you. No, I love you. But I'm frustrated by that too, because what's happening here is, well, okay, so then I get another Speaker of the House, but if it's all rhinos, they're going to go and put some progressive Republican in there. I mean, John McCain wouldn't have been that much better for us right now. In fact, I get the heat every time I say this. America would still be asleep if John McCain were president today, and he'd be taking us down the same road, except a lot slower. We don't need another rhino.
And Glenn, that's why the most important thing that we can do for Jim Demint in the Senate and in the House is to get a group of like-minded constitutional conservatives together. The rudder can be very powerful. And if we're a strong coalition and we are the conscience of the House, we can come together and hold our leadership accountable to make sure that they don't put forward the rhino bills. You have to have 218 votes to pass a bill. Well, if they don't have 218 votes, and if you have 15 or 30 members that stand true for constitutional conservative principles, you won't get the rhino bills through.
Okay. I feel like I'm on an episode of Password, where you're kind of like, you know, we're kind of close here. Jason, can you help out at all? Because I think Michelle just said vote for the independent, but I'm not really sure. Vote for the person who believes in the Constitution. Can
Absolutely.
You vote for the person?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I want to work with somebody who's got backbone, who's got spine. What happens who can stand in the heat of the moment?
What happens if that means that they're probably going to lose? Then you'll probably have a Democrat in instead. Do you still say no? I'm voting for the one that believes in the Constitution.
Look, I'm a Republican. I'm on the Republican team, but I can't argue with anybody who says, you know what, this person has more spine. I guarantee you, for instance, Mike Quigley out of Illinois is about as liberal gets. But when it comes time to actually stand up to the party establishment and stand true and say, you know what, we're going to put principle first, he's the first guy I go to. I wish he was a Republican on those issues. He's not. But what we need are people of integrity. There are going to be people on both sides of the aisle. Just please send us the person with the most integrity.
All right. Okay. And Senator, we're going to get to you in a second. I'm going to take a break, but I want to tell you, this book up here, this book just came out today. It's taken me over a year to write this. It is the meatiest book that we've ever done. The first part, it's in thirds. The first third is the history on how we got here. The second third is how bad it is. It's the crime. If you read Common Sense, this is like 10 times Common Sense. Your hair will fall out, because the other part of the crime section is the cover-up. And the cover-up, the games that are played are phenomenal, and you won't buy any of these ads anymore. You'll see exactly what they're doing. And then the last one is the plan, and what it is that we have to do. 50-page of footnotes, fine print, so you know that it's all been checked out and you can trust the information in it. But I want to point out one thing. It's the plan to restore our trust, our truth, and our treasure. George Soros said a couple of weeks ago in a op-ed piece, America doesn't need virtue. It needs stimulus. May I disagree with the spooky dude? America needs virtue. When we restore our trust and our truth, our treasure will follow. That's our biggest deficit now. What is the truth? That's where we're really broke. Available in bookstores everywhere.